I was just thinking about how life passes most people by because people tend to focus so long on extending life that they actually forgo living it entirely. Too many people, they're scared of their own shadows. They won't even speak their own truth, which is just a fundamental basic freedom we all have. Like, why on earth people would be worried about saying how they think and feel due to reprisals, other people's opinions, all these things? Like, why would you put so much weight on other people's opinions of your opinion over your own? You know, that's where it comes to. It's like, why be so terrified of other people? It doesn't make sense. So, like, for instance, I was thinking of specific celebrities, for instance, who died younger than maybe they should have done. I would like to say incredibly young, but you look and think that was sad. That's a sad loss. It affected, especially because the reason I say celebrities is there's certain people, they had an impact in our life even unwittingly. You know, it was just something, even if it's entertainment. For instance, I was thinking of Matthew Perry, just sort of Chandler from Friends. It was from this situation that happened, and I just thought about him immediately, and I just thought, oh, that's sad. But immediately I thought, yeah, okay, it's sad he went younger than anyone expected. But he's left a legacy. That's quite incredible. Now, he was only, like, think about it, he was only an actor. Like, it wasn't like you just changed science or anything. But he had such a huge impact on so many people around the world, doing something he genuinely loved, and I just think that's beautiful. So yeah, okay, he didn't live a. You could say he could a, a long life, but within the time frame he had on this planet, he had an impact, and I think that's just more important. Like, I think it quite often. You know, of course, we'd all love to get to old age. We'd all love to have a full life. But what's the point of getting all the way to the end and achieve absolutely nothing with it? It doesn't make sense. It's like the one thing we're guaranteed the moment we're born is we're going to die. That's just a reality everyone has to get comfortable with. Does it, realistically, if it's now or in 10 years, does it really matter? 10 years will come in a flash of a speed of light. Within 10 years, that goes. We all see it now. Like, time's just always moving forward at such a rapid rate. You know, you can't get through the day without it finishing so swiftly, and we're on to the next one. So I think desiring just to exist for the sake of existing, I think is just pointless. It's like, better get on living. So make memories, say how you think, say how you feel. Don't waste time. Like I say, time isn't something we can take for granted. Like, for instance, with me, I've been quite. It's been strange for the past a few weeks or something. I don't really know how long, but I just sometimes have trouble breathing. In fact, it started when I come back from holiday. I was having a little bit of breathing issue on a plane. It's something I do need to get addressed. Um, but I recognise, like, when my time's up, my time's up. It's like, that's life, you know. I'm not going to overthink it beyond that. It's just, it is what it is, you know. But I just look at what I've done and I think, you know what? Within a certain space, certain window of time, I did what I could to try to open people's minds. Um, so, like, I'm not like a morbid person. I'm just a realistic person, and I'm always transparent. The reality is, if whatever time my time comes, I feel I've left something behind. I've done something with my life, and I'm forever proud of that. So, you know, sometimes you don't get recognition in your lifetime. Sometimes you do. Let's hope, you know, for my personally, I'd like to hopefully receive some sort of like success. But if it comes after, then so be it. Again, you had an impact. And I think that's what we all have the potential to do. But like I said, most people, they hide in the shadows. They're terrified of people's reactions to them, their opinions. And they just try their best just to exist. And it's kind of like you're shying away. You're shying away from living, though. And it's just sad. So, like, we can look on at those that go earlier than maybe they should. But I look on and I sort of smile, though, not like, again, not in some morbid fascination. It's I smile that they did something with their life. They literally stepped outside their comfort zone and strive for something better, and that's what they achieved. Now, you'll always get jealous people in this life. You'll always get someone that thinks it was easy for this person or this, that, and other. I always look beyond that. You know, like, for instance, you'll get people on the TikTok shop. Let's just talk that in general. I don't like all that. I don't like market selling. I don't like selling people things they don't need and making them suffer for me to elevate. And I'm really against that. Like, I can't do it. I recognize that if I wanted to, I could make a lot of money. I'm good at talking. I can sell products if I really wanted to. So I could easily do what they do and make a lot of money from it. But my standards are so high, I refuse to do it. So I struggle financially as a consequence. That's just my own personal belief, and that's how I am. It's not for me to judge them. But I could. The part that I do recognize is that these people, they hold that they're always working hard. That's what I would say, though. It's like you can have someone leave comments and say all this, say all that, but they're literally doing absolutely nothing with their time. Some people are just absolutely lazy in life entirely, and they will judge people who are doing something. So, like for instance, if you've got someone doing that market seller sort of stuff, though, they still wake up and put themselves there, and they put themselves out there, and they're working at it. So there's something like you can appreciate that they're actually doing something with their time, though, and they're really putting themselves out there. Where, like I say, you get a lot of people who literally wake up with no ambition, no desire to do anything, and then they just sort of like sit there criticize other people, and it's like at least they're doing something, though. At least they've pushed themselves. Whether their morals are intact and whether they do it for the best of reasons in some ways it's irrelevant. Because we all have to hold ourselves accountable too. If someone's trying to sell you something and they don't seem to have the best of intentions, then you got to sometimes look and think, well, why would I buy off them in the first place? I don't trust them. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do my research and I will buy. If I'm interested in a product, I'll buy it from a reputable seller. I'm not going to watch that. That's what I would do. So yeah, I think people just sometimes gullible as well, though. They just, you know, but that's a different topic entirely. But I guess at the same time, it overlaps, doesn't it? Because people let themselves get taken for granted. But yeah, I just think the idea that life passes us by and you don't do the most of it, I think that's sad. It's not about us mirroring each other, though. Like, I have such standards in my life, I literally hold myself back in some ways, and it actually annoys the life out of me. But, you can't change your personality. Well, I mean, you can if you don't want to be yourself, but I am me. Um, so, like, for instance, I'm not someone that can jump in and out of relationships. I'm not someone that can have one night stands, but I do recognize how, like, that's in some ways that'd be an exciting life. But it's like I can't do it because my values are just so different to the majority of people. So even if the temptation was there, like a desire, it's nothing. I couldn't do anything, because I just hold energy too sacred. It's sort of thing. It's just it's not. It would seem a silly thing, but it's not. It's like I don't. I'll talk on topics that I feel passionate about, and I'll share aspects of life and opinions, because it means something to me. But I won't um, recklessly encourage chaos. So there has to be a reason for it. So for me to fulfill a desire or something, like most people do, for me to fulfill a desire, knowing full well the risk involved of chaos ensuing after, like people make false allegations, all sorts of things can happen from a situation. It's like that's for me, although it's exciting as it is, for a brief period in time, it's not worth the chaos that ensues from it. Because you also have to look at patterns of behavior. Like if you did it once, it's exciting. So now oh, let's say you're desirable. Let's say people were interested in you. All of a sudden, the opportunities are always coming. So then that becomes a lifestyle choice. And it's like, you got to run out of luck eventually. Something's going to happen somewhere. You might get an infection, might be like a love triangle. There's someone may be absolutely unhinged. Someone may become obsessed with you. All sorts of things, like we don't need any of that. So no one could ever accuse me of living that lifestyle because I just can't. It's like not in my DNA. And I think that's the part of us as well. Like we all have our own unique DNA, our code that creates us. Um, so I'm not saying it's not of interest because we have to be human desires. But what I'm saying is like my soul level is too advanced to allow a human desire to consume me, and that's how it feels inside of me. So it's like this battle. It's like this thing. It's not really a battle, but it's more like a frustration that I don't have every experience that everybody else has. Um, but it's like an unnecessary experience to an extent. It's more of a low vibrational one. Um, but like again, those things can become addictions and all those little things. But it's like sometimes we have to look beyond Um, but again, if someone lives that way and they're happy to live that way, that's an experience they're having in this lifetime, isn't it? But I just think sometimes it breeds chaos, and it's like that's the one thing I don't willingly encourage is chaos. But I will talk if I think something's worth talking about, for instance, then it's worth for me. It's worth the risk. I think it's like that risk reward thing. Um, I always think speaking your truth is worth any risk. Because the reward is great. Because it's not just about me; it's about other people. So, yeah, people can come at me all they like, but I hold high values. Um, so I can't be manipulated. Doesn't mean someone can't have higher intelligence. It doesn't mean someone can't maybe put me in my place on a certain topic, and I'll learn from them. So it's not about that, like an arrogance in that sense. Um, it's just that I have a lot of confidence in myself, and I speak from experience. So this is my interpretation of my experiences and the life I've lived, and how I perceive life. And I think, by talking on those things, it might open people's eyes to certain things. And I think that's just more important, like I said, than people's reactions and reprisals. It's like, it's bigger than me. I think that's the part, like, some things are just, so I consider things bigger than me. So people might perceive arrogance or any of these things. And it's like, to each their own, because it's not even about me. It's about the bigger calling on life. Because I'm never in competition with anyone. I'm only ever in competition with myself to always be a better version that existed before. Like, I'm always evolving and elevating. And I always encourage other people to do similar in their own lives. I'm not asking people to mirror me, not asking people to sort of like take my word as gospel, but it's opening their minds. I want people to elevate in their lives. I want people to be successful. I want people to be the leader in their life. That's what I strive for. So it's like, I don't have to see the results, because like even something I say that might be divisive and people might not like it, it's still going to get a reaction inside of them that will either make them passionate one way or another. It might make them double down on their beliefs and their thoughts and things like that. And it's like, that's great then. It's empowered you. That's the whole point. But again, I feel like in this lifetime, even if like I don't get to live a long life, I don't know. No one, we don't know when our time comes up and when it's expected to end. But I feel like, I've made a contribution here. I've made a contribution. Whether it's recognized is irrelevant. I can't force it in front of people. But at least I feel like I did something with my life. And I would encourage other people to do something with their lives. You know, it's not about mirroring other people and copying. It's nothing to do with any of that. I don't copy or mirror anyone. I'm just me. This is just the authentic version of self. That's what I want people to be, as themselves. It's like we all have different aspirations, different traits. But it's like just living in your purest self. I think that's just the most beautiful way we can be. So it's not suppressing ourselves, it's not limiting our potential, because that's really how society has got everyone sort of like pigeonholed. The idea that you can't speak up on this, you can't be successful, you can't be talented because it makes other people insecure. It's like that's their insecurity to deal with. It's not for you to dim yourself and limit your potential. Like I say, you always get it. I see it all the time in like social media, in comment sections of other people's content. Um, Always negative people who can't do anything with their lives, so they want to bring others down. There's a guy specifically on TikTok, and he's got a flat. I get a bit fed up with the content, to be honest, because he's constantly putting single man doing it, like, you know, and it's like, mate, a lot of us are single. You don't have to keep pointing it out in the front of every single video. But he gets a lot of things sent to him for free. Seems nice enough guy. And then you get some people in the comments saying scammer, and then everybody else is like rounding on that person. But you get a few comments of this scammer, and it's like, wait, I haven't seen any content where he's asked for anything. Okay, he's got a wish list on Amazon, but he's not actively like trying to get people to go there. He just made a list because people wanted to send him things, apparently. But I've never seen him being like a vulture in any way. So how can you be a scammer when you haven't asked for anything? If people want to do things for the kindness of their heart and they like someone's energy and they want to invest in them, then isn't that a beautiful thing? But because other people are not getting rewarded for it and they're not gaining anything, they get jealous. And it's like, but they're showing their character in the comment. Like, why would someone invest in you when you're so negative and vile? You can't support. I say this all the time. Too many people, they just, sometimes it's not worth sharing your story because people are just not supportive of it. What's the point of sharing things when other people are just looking to pull you down every time you be successful? So this guy's like, he's got his own home. He's doing it, whatever. Like a lot of us have our own homes, but he's getting the products, and he's sharing them. So he's like being like not nice about it. Like he's showing the people, like the people so they can see what they bought him. You know, the people that actually bought him things. I don't really see anything wrong with it, but like I say, too many people they live a life of jealousy and greed. So like when I go back round to the point of speaking your truth and not worrying about what other people think, sometimes you've got to put people um in check. You've got to think about it. Like too many people, I think especially negative people, they tend to have louder voices, so the energy can seem strong and potent, so it can dominate you. But what you got to do is think about it in the sense of, is that someone whose life you would swap with if you could? No. And all these little things. So then it goes, well, so why do you allow their opinion to hold so much weight over your dominion? Why do you allow negativity to have such a powerful impact on your life? Because those people, they're not worth your time. So who cares what they think? So then their power becomes useless. It's diminished because you see the flaws in them, the vulnerabilities. Um, yeah. So anyway, so that's how I see it. So when someone's unhinged, reckless, incredibly negative, toxic, even, it's like I'm not afraid of their reactions. I just know how vulnerable they are, and they're just projecting their misery onto others to try and dim your light to make to make their life seem less shit. That's the reality. So it's like, I'm not here to do that. I'm not going to play small to appease these people, and I'm not going to dim my voice. I'm going to say things, and it might, like I said, sometimes it'll come across controversial, but I'm only telling my side of things. Like I did one about transgenders a couple of days ago, and I still laugh that there's two downvotes, and I'm always I check it regularly because I expect a lot. I'm expecting hundreds, if not thousands, of downvotes on that video. If it ever gets traction, that's the one I think will. But if anyone watches it from beginning through to end, I wasn't disrespectful at all. That's the part where I smile, because people are reactive in the first 30 seconds. If they don't hear what they want to hear, downvote, and then they'll judge you profusely for it. And it's like, I didn't say anything bad that I would consider bad. I just spoke my truth. And what have I said all along? People don't have to agree with my truths, but it's how I feel about a situation. We all have different opinions on things. And I even said in that video, that's the hardest topic for anyone to talk about because no one's got an answer for it. So it doesn't matter what you say on that topic, there will be someone that has to downvote it. Personally, I don't know why people downvote. I don't. If I don't like a content, I move on. I'm not someone that leaves negative comments. I don't waste my time sort of like vilifying a video. I just move on. Some people, they just can't. They have to have an impact on it, don't they? So they got to press the button, make a stand. It doesn't make a point to me. It just shows me how it's how negative the world is. It just is. It's like, because what it shows is that other people can't have an opinion beyond other people's beliefs. That's what it shows. Like I do a video that's just genuine from the heart. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I was even trying to process it in the video. If anyone watches all the way through, you know what I'm talking about. But yet some people will take, except a lot of people, I wouldn't say some, I'd say majority, I'd say 50-50, because that's how it is in that situation. 50-50. 50 will agree with you, 50 won't. But again, negativity have the loudest voice. So people are more likely to downvote than anybody is to spend time to upvote. But I don't really care about any of that crap. Because I don't ever think something's less, in the work I do, I don't think anything's inferior to something else I've done. So I wouldn't say that video is less, like the quality of it's any less at all. It's just an opinion on a topic. But yeah, so the world is a negative place in general. If you don't agree with someone, they go mental. A lot of people want to coerce other people to be copies of them. Again, it's all about prominence. It's about validating to them their opinions, their beliefs, because they're insecure in themselves. If you're confident, you don't need people to follow. You don't need people to agree with you. You're confident in your own voice, your own narrative, your own thoughts. That's where I'm at. I don't need anyone to agree with me. And I say it all the time. I'm not looking for followers. I beat to my own drum. And I say this all the time. There might be something I say and someone might agree with it and they think, well, that's great. That makes sense to me. And then there might be something I say tomorrow and someone goes, God damn it. Like, that's outrageous. And that's fine. You don't have to 100% like me. It's going to be very unlikely that someone does. because my opinions are abrasive. But it's not. I don't do it to be abrasive. It's just that's my opinion on life. Sometimes it's going to be controversial. In the same way, other people have controversial thoughts, but they don't share it. So they suppress themselves, and then they allow a narrative to build in society where everybody ends up having to conform, or at least they feel like they have to conform. It's like, why? If people just spoke up more and like shared how they feel about situations and things like that, it's like we'd realize that the world isn't so sort of structured and linear. There's so many different opinions. And I say this in one of my books that what you wouldn't want is so everyone, I mean, I like wearing black anyway. I like wearing just basic colors. But it's people that want to express themselves with clothes, for instance. And maybe they really wear some really, really, sometimes outrageous, sometimes really colorful. And it's like, that's what you want in society, though. I think it's like, I talk about it a lot, diversity and blending cultures and all these things. It makes the world interesting. But too many people, they're racist, everything and anything in between. And they literally just want everybody to conform and be a mirror of them. Because it gives them prominence and makes them feel powerful in their beliefs and the way they are. Because they obviously don't feel comfortable and powerful alone, which I think is crazy. But I think like we should all have our own personalities, and then that's a beautiful. I think that's a beautiful place to live. You don't all have to have the same beliefs, core values, all these little things. But it's like just at least be respectful of each other's opinions, beliefs, and things like that. It's not like hate crimes and things like this. We don't need none of that nonsense. But if we don't speak up and we don't share our opinions and we don't be ourselves, then that world won't exist. The society can't exist in that way. So then everything gets suppressed, and then we'll end up with just one religion, one culture, one society, and whatever that is that becomes superior, everybody has to conform, and we're all lemmings. But literally, that's all we are, lemmings. And I think that's frightening. So that's why I speak up, because I want freedom in this world. Freedom is the fundamental freedom and justice, of course. Um, yeah. So, like, we should go in with the understanding that you're not likely to get to 80 years old, so you can plan your whole life accordingly and go, I'm gonna stay paying to my pension. I'm gonna do all this. I'm gonna do all that, and then when I get to about 70 years old, I finally get about 10 years if I'm lucky, and I'll get to retire. If your life is just built upon retirement, I mean, that's quite sad because most people won't even get there. And those that do, they might struggle financially more than they realize, because your bodies can't sustain it. And sometimes your mind can't. We get dementia and all sorts. So you can be as sharp as a whip now. It can degrade. And there's no guarantee of anything. The vessel can betray us, effectively. That's how you've got to look at it. You can't guarantee it. You can be a sharp-witted person. You can be incredibly smart. But it doesn't mean your body can sustain it for the duration of its life span. So I think it's just about making an impact now, really, of your life. And if you feel you have some other thing to contribute and you think it could help the world and you're going to have an impact in that way, then of course make yourself front and center. The other thing to say there is, again, people can be really judgmental and they misconstrue things. But it's like, I watch Ben Affleck, for instance, and I see him. He always seems miserable, but I saw him in an interview recently and he was a bit more bubbly, a bit more happy. But I get his personality 100%, and I think other people just don't because they're too busy judging because they're jealous. It was quite evident to me that he's someone that favors family life. Like I am like this. Only because I see a lot of him in me in certain aspects. Like I don't seek fame. I don't seek popularity. I never have. I'm a lone wolf. I do my own thing. If it helps people, it helps. Like that's the whole point. It's like, but I don't. I beat to my own drum. So, like, if I was to be recognized in the future, you're famous, you had a reputation, whatever it is, that's not something I'm seeking though. That's just a consequence of the work you do. So like that's the same for him. From my understanding, he's never sought fame. He just enjoys movies. He enjoys acting and writing the screenplays and doing those things. And as a consequence of doing something he genuinely enjoys and loves, and it's a passion, it gets put in the spotlight. So now he's expected to just sign autographs, meet people, have interviews, do all those things. He never. That's not the things he wanted to do. It's just It's almost like an obligation to, because of what he does. And now a lot of people say, "Well, well, you got to expect that." Blah blah blah. It's like, no, you shouldn't have to expect that. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to demand that of people if they don't want to give it. His contribution is the movie, and it ends there. So what if he makes a lot of money? Stop being jealous. And that's the thing with people. This is so envious. It's crazy. Like, I see people, they always judge, but they don't put in half the effort. I can understand a movie actor's role. Now, I don't understand it 100% because I'm not an actor. But like I said, you get some lazy people, or you get some people who do the same thing every day and they're frustrated by the results, but they'll say they've got no choice. And I just think it's a cop out. Everyone has a choice. Everyone has a choice. It's just that to them, their financial security is everything. It's like, if it's making you miserable, then maybe you've got to change something, surely. So you might get someone as a truck driver or a lorry driver, for instance, and they're not happy doing it. They're exhausted. The hours are long. It's not fair. You know, they have to work weekends, sometimes a night shift, whatever it is. Let's say they're doing all that. And they'll say, I can't, you know, I'm exhausted. And they'll always compare their life to everybody else. So the idea that someone's a movie star, for instance, and making millions, and they're doing their truck driving, they're doing all these crazy hours. It's not, the money is nothing in comparison to that. And look at what they're having to give up. And people do this all the time. That's how they live, comparing. And sometimes you just got to switch off from them and just say their misery is compounded by their own sort of downfall, really, because they're the ones beating themselves up. They'll argue that their lifestyle can only, they have to do this lifestyle to sustain what they have. Like, there was a guy I worked with before, he used to do overtime all the time, always moaning and everything after, like, how he doesn't get time at home. It's like, mate, you're doing it to yourself. If you can't afford your lifestyle, then you need to adapt your lifestyle. Don't sort of, if you want to kill yourself to sustain this, that's your own fault. No one's going to have sympathy for you. You can have less. You can have less and be happier. Just get it in your head. You don't need that. And stop comparing to other people and say, because they live this life, I should have that. And it's not fair they do, so I don't like them. It's like, that's so freaking defeatist. If you want to be an actor, go and be an actor and then go and see how easy it is. Because that's the thing I can recognize without even doing it. I always recognize things in people, you know. I understand. You have to go to auditions. And I'm guessing you probably have to go hundreds, if not thousands of auditions before you even get a mini breakthrough, let alone a big breakthrough. And even then, there's no guarantees of anything. So the idea of being like a front runner in a movie or a TV show, I think it's so rare that you've got to get incredibly lucky and you have to have talent. And I can understand that. And I can understand the process that got them there. A lot of the people, especially musicians, especially country music, they go to Nashville, Tennessee. And they may be from all over the country. And sometimes they down tools and they just like say they leave their whole life behind. And it's a risk. And they don't all make it. Sometimes they return home, you know. But the people that they're challenging themselves to fulfill a dream. And I can totally understand and relate to that. And when they make it, I don't look on with envy because I recognize the rare gem it took to get there. Yeah, maybe there was someone more talented and they just didn't get the rub of the luck. But that's just life. You don't all get there. But yeah, so I can understand someone that's worked their ass off to get somewhere. They've pushed themselves outside their comfort zone. They're living a dream. And they have a different life than the rest of us. But okay, it's just different. But that doesn't mean they have to sort of like conform to your expectation of what they should now give you in return. They gave you a movie. They gave you a song. That's enough. They don't have to give you any more. They don't owe you anything. So like I say with Ben Affleck, it just seems to me he wants to do the movies. He wants to spend time with his kids, his family. He doesn't want all the paparazzi stuff. Who would? Who wants flashes in you? If you've got epilepsy, for instance, and you've got them stupid cameras, it's stupid the amount of flashing they do. I mean, how many photos do they need of someone? It just don't stop, does it? It's like, that's just outrageous. It's just stupid. It's pathetic. And the reason they do it is because people are obsessed. People are obsessed with people's personal lives. I thought if they weren't, these paparazzis wouldn't exist. People need to stop being obsessed with what people are doing behind closed doors in their own private life and just get on living their own. And then we wouldn't have all this obsession because people put others on a pedestal and they're just so obsessed. It's crazy. You see these reality TV shows in the UK, we've got Love Island, Big Brother, and think people are just left this morbid fascination with other people rather than their own. So they're watching and judging people based on what they're seeing on the screen while they're sitting there slumped on their sofa, just probably binging on crap, having terrible conversations, and probably grunting like pigs because they're struggling to breathe. And they've got the audacity to sit there and judge someone else who's pushed them outside their comfort zone and things like that. So reality is those that judge often couldn't walk at a moment in the shoes of that other person. And that's reality. And a lot of people, they're just terrified of their own shadow, so they're scared to step outside their comfort zone as well. So if someone was a truck driver, for instance, and they really don't like what they do, they don't like the hours, leave. Do something else. And they'll always make an excuse, and it's like, that's your own downfall. If you're miserable today, you're going to be miserable tomorrow. So what do you think is going to happen in 10 years? What's going to happen in 20 years? What a waste of life. And that's your own fault because you're allowing, I'll talk about a lot, but money is a big issue. You allow money to compound your misery. Sometimes you can just like lose everything and start again. You see it a lot with people that are successful. They went bankrupt or something. You don't think it hurt their ego. You don't think like their pride and ego, and literally it was a really hard fall from grace. But you see them pick themselves up again. Sometimes reset is great. It allows our chance to have freedom and choice. But too many people, they keep themselves hostage, prisoner. And they just assume that they're going to get to old age and get to sort of like finally live a fairy tale. And it's like, age catches up with all of us. Even if you've got to 80, your mobility is going to be impaired. Your cognizance is going to be impaired. Everything is going to slow down. So make the most of life while you're active and while you're able. You know, I think just too many people, they're just so naive. So anyway, don't allow age to determine your fate. You know, it's like we can't guarantee anything. Let's just be realistic with ourselves. And again, don't worry so much about what other people are doing in their lives and their things. It's like you don't need to worry so much. It's like, like I say, people forget to live. So busy judging other people, so busy just living in other people's pocket, and it's like, but then you're literally stagnant in your own life. So I don't understand that. Even personally, in personal lives, like not even famous and all that stuff. People, even family members or toxic exes and things, they obsess about your life, so they don't literally move forward with their own. So sometimes they desire your downfall, thinking it's going to elevate them somehow, and it's like it's doing nothing for you. Whether I'm successful or whether I fail is going to do absolutely nothing for your life apart from like feed an ego. And maybe like if you struggle or you do bad or something, maybe to them it validates something. Oh, I made the right decision here, blah blah blah. That's all that's doing. But literally, you're waiting around for that. That's just sad. When you could have been investing in yourself and literally just building towards success in whatever form that is. Anyway, that's my little thoughts really on people wasting life because it just passes them by, and it's sad.